Hey everyone, today I want to talk about one of the greatest legends of the South Edisto River in South Carolina, that being the mysterious Healing Springs, or God's Acre. Without further ado, let's get going. It all began eons ago as untold numbers of animals discovered the springs a few miles from the South Edisto River, just north of what would become the railroad town of Blackville, South Carolina, millions of years later. Now, no doubt, various animals, healthy and not so healthy, made this watering hole a refreshing stopping point. Then along came another creature, humans. Those humans were the indigenous Native Americans who discovered this site, probably through their hunts. And these humans noticed something about the water that came from this spring. They noticed that whenever their friends or their family or themselves went and got water from this place, they got healthier. They got better. If something was ailing them, they got better quicker. And they may have watched injured animals or sick animals go there and get better, just like they have been getting better for millions and millions of years. And they could credit these springs. Because this was a place that brought healing, the Native Americans believed that it was a place that could only be owned by the Great Spirit. No man could own it. How could anyone lay claim to a place like this? How could anyone put ownership on a place like this? The Native Americans believed. Well, generations pass, and before you know it, another group of humans come along, the Europeans. First, the Spanish passed through what would become South Carolina in the 16th century, even at times holding settlements along the South Carolina coast. But it was the English and waves of Germans, Swiss, Scotch-Irish who would settle South Carolina in the late 17th century and on through pretty much the first half of the 18th century. And one of those settlers was a man named Nathaniel Walker, who would become the first European that we know of to learn of these vitality restoring springs. In 1757, he had migrated to the area, setting up a home and a trading post near Windy Hill Creek, which flowed into the nearby South Fork of the Edisto River. Now, as a trader, he became well acquainted with the native Edisto Indians, and at some point in his familiarity, Walker learned of that curious water source that the natives held to be sacred, that had those waters that were a healing elixir. Over the next almost quarter of a century, though, the natives had to vacate their traditional lands along the Edisto as the Europeans settled the backcountry. During this time, the enigmatic ancient spring was at best a local attraction for the people of the community, with the waters giving a refreshing taste, regardless of whether or not they truly did heal anybody or not. But it was in the year 1781, during the turmoil of the American Revolution, when this place would really get its name, Healing Springs. And as you can imagine, yes, it does have something to do with the American Revolution. These were the final years of the American Revolution, with the British starting to lose South Carolina as the Patriots began to chip away at their hold on the colony. We don't know much about this skirmish, but here's what we do know. Sometime between August 1781 and that year's end, a small band of Patriot militia was encamped near Windy Hill Creek. And if you recall, Windy Hill Creek was where Nathaniel Walker had set up shop and discovered these springs, or at least been told about these springs by his Native American neighbors decades before. Even though the British hold on the interior of the colony was slipping, a party of loyalist militia, or colonists who were loyal to the king during the American Revolution, approached the Patriot camp. The Loyalists, or Tories as they were called by their Patriot adversaries, attacked the Patriot camp, and in the savage little skirmish that followed, the Patriots got the worst end of the deal. In fact, their entire unit got wiped out by the Loyalists. To a man, 16 Patriots perished in this skirmish. The skirmish was so horrible for the Patriots that it came down in history to us by the macabre name of the skirmish at Slaughter Field. But what does this all have to do with Healing Springs? Well, you see, the Loyalists had not come out of this skirmish unscathed because four of the Loyalists were wounded in this scrape. In fact, they were so badly wounded that their comrades had little hope for their survival. So they left two Tories with these men so that they could essentially nurse these men until their inevitable passing. And then the two would rejoin their comrades in Charlestown, where the British were falling back to, which would be modern day Charleston. 6 months pass, and the two caretakers returned to Charlestown as they were ordered to do, with their fully recovered four comrades right behind them. What was the secret to their recovery? Well, you guessed it. They had 6 months of a steady supply of water from those springs that animals for millions of years had gone to and been healed. The same springs that the Native Americans, for countless years, had come to be healed themselves, and the same springs that they later told the European Nathaniel Walker about. It was probably after these Tories were healed that the springs took on their legendary name, Healing Springs. And just like the Native Americans decreed so long ago, officially on the records with Barnwell County, South Carolina, that plot of land is deeded to none other than God. Now, what's the explanation? Is this some kind of magical quality given by the Creator, just like the Indians said? Or is it the fact that the spring is actually an artesian spring where the water pushes itself up through rocks, bringing important minerals with it? I don't know. But it's a great story nonetheless, and a true one, and a place you can visit the next time you're on Highway 78 near Blackville, South Carolina.